So the next what we have that again, so as an attacker or as an ethical hacker, what about if you wanted to discover the host informations, right, that are running any firewall and wanted to scan without detecting you. Like again, we are attacker or ethical hacker, I wanted to scan your network, but I don't want to detect that your firewall maybe capture our packet, right? So what I need to do that we need to perform the network scanning without being detected by your network securities, we can say the firewall or IDs, right? So we have like kind of this limitation if you notice now, right? So in our case what we have, so Windows firewall is enabled, right? So you can still obtain the result of displaying the TC port along with their name and services if you notice now. Okay, so let's suppose that is my system. Okay, it's like server and all those things. Okay, it's running, right? And they have some kind of server, so we can say it's running on something HTTP, running on something port number 83, we have some FTP running on something 2021 port number and all those things, right? We have some kind of service, we can say SSH running on this port number and all those things. We have some kind of telnet and all those things, or maybe anything packet are running inside that, so it's running on something port number. Now, so what point we have that beyond this we have a firewall, right? Or we can say we have firewall, or we can say we have a security group, or we can say the IDs and all those things, right? So any attacker may be in your network, right? If they're trying to access, like we have this concept and all those things, right? So we have like internet and all, right? So whenever we are trying to fetch these sources to your network, right? So if anyone trying to access, like I need information about, like suppose Nmap, and then the some kind of service and all those things, we are getting the information about this particular machines, and then firewall also get a record for the same, like source and destination and all those things, right? So what we can do that, let's suppose might be if firewall is not allowed to access those things, then you cannot access those services. But if you think, right, if you know that like these are a web server and all those things, so definitely the port may be the 80 or 443 is running, right? So what we can do, we can provide, or we can give a genuine traffic or real traffic to your firewall, that we are saying that I'm trying to access which service, not entire, I wanted to specify or give traffic on the which port number 80, over which machines, we can say your machine's IP, and whatever the IP you have, that you can mention in that way too, right? So what we can do that, we have this information and all those things, and with the help of this information, what we can do, we can specify those network system. Okay, similarly what we have, so you can mention those particular -G options to specifying the source port to manipulate your port. If you notice now, source port manipulation refer to manipulation actually port number with common port numbers to evade your IDs or firewall. So this is useful when the firewall is configured to allow only these packets, correct? It means we are saying that no, I'm accessing the genuine packet, so allow me on which port number, port 80. So you can access and you can scan with specific port number with this particular -G option. If you notice now, we are getting those informations like something open and all those things, you can access that, right? And if you're trying to access those things, so what I'm getting that, so like if anyone trying to access on which port number, the 13, sorry, the host, and from which protocol, the protocol or the port number we have like something port 80. So again, if you notice now what packet we are capturing, those they are that we are capturing, that we are getting the traffic from this particular 1.13, right, over which destination 1.11 and which port number 80, right? So when you run this command like something, so it's getting the traffic on 80, right? But you get all the information. But if you notice now on the earlier version, then we are getting the different packet, right? 1.13 something TCP, something different port number, protocol, and maybe that could be changed actually. But this time we are getting the unique addresses, so that maybe the server admins, just for the example, they assume like this is like real traffic, you are getting from any customer traffic, something like that. You can gather the information about this particular host, right? Similarly, also you can specify with the help of MTU, that is a maximum transfer unit. Again, if you know that, right, the concept for the MTU for that could be very actually depend on your requirement and your configuration, that could be vary, right? But if I just let you know, if you notice now, by default what we have that for every machines we have like some MTUs, that is, you can say maximum transfer unit for each and every interfaces, right? So that can be vary and all those things. By default you have 1500. Okay, so what they can mention that, right, if you specify the low like I need informations, right, specify the number of m2 that I need that, right. So it's like a smaller packet that transmitted into the sender and receiver, right. So this allow to verify those things. So what we are doing that we are simple accessing like nmap, and thus we have a small packet like mtu. The packet size is now 8, okay, and over which machine, just hit enter. If you notice now, then what we are getting, that we are getting some kind of packets, right, from that 1.13, right, and some, we can say, some kind of sequence packages and all those. If you notice now on the fragment sections as well, right, so we are getting something like package like 1024 byte, 1024 byte, and all those things we getting that, right. So again, this is for the informations and all. That port number may vary. Again, if you notice now the port, we are getting something like 1723808029993 time 8. So that port may be vary because we not specify the port number. We can verify or scan those things with the help of these things. Even though you can also use some kind of MAC spoofing. It's like a mechanism that provide a heavy load or traffic to your client or customer side. So accordingly, you guys can also provide the same thing. If you notice now what we have exactly, we have like nmap, right, and then we can perform the TCP full scanning, and then we can mention those host discovery. So just for the port discoveries, we are disabling those things, right, and then specifying the spoofing max 0. It means what we can say, any random MAC addresses, right. MAC address, why we are mentioning those things, because as an ethical hacker, when you're trying to access those things, maybe your securities devices maybe capture your MAC addresses, correct, right. So in that case, you may be caught by this provider and all those things. So what you can do that, I wanted to scan those things but without capturing or any random MAC addresses, or without exposing my real MAC addresses. So in that case, what we can do, we can simply specifying those MAC 0. This means was any MAC address or any random MAC addresses that's specifying to my system. So you can specify in that way too. So that is optional and possibility. If you notice now, we have some information, all those things. So we have some kind of packet capture. When you explore those things, we have packet.capture. Just simple launch this in the Webasha. It automatically launch, and then you can verify. If you notice now, we have all those information. Just for example, we're storing a single capture packet. You can also check that if you have some kind of data and all, then you can also explore. So we have some information like the same, like hardware type, the hardware size, the protocol, the center MAC addresses, and all those. The center IP have all those informations. If you want to verify those Ethernet addresses, that they have some kind of random Ethernet addresses. If you notice how we don't have a proper real addresses and all those things, because again, they manipulate and they store some kind of data. And then what the frame size and all those things, the frame number and the frame length, this is options and all those things. So these are like information you can capture, and then you can read it anytime. Do one thing on your offensive based machine, run this command like hping3, okay, and then mention those system target and which protocol, UDP, TCP and protocol. Then random source means what, we are not specifying our source addresses. It means we are scanning those system details in anonymous mode. So we can say -i for random source. It means we are enabling the random source. It means your Wireshark or maybe your system cannot capture the source packet information, and then the data type or the size is 500 bit. Clear with that? If you notice now, we just run those informations, right? So if you notice now, under the source, what we are getting, that we are getting something like that. It's an older one actually, so skip those options. If you notice now, we didn't get any 1.13 here. If you notice now, so we don't have any option for the 1.13. Clear? Okay, so if you notice now, in the sources addresses, all those things, we don't have options for any kind of the 1.13. 1.13 is in my the source addresses, right? So if you notice now, 1.13 and all those things, so we don't have any options for the 1. Why? Because we mentioned those random addresses, correct? So that's why. So we can also scan those things, and after the scanning, if you notice now what information we are getting, that you can also check that we have some kind of information for all those things. Okay, similarly you can use this particular command like specific the TCP, and then the port sending, and then we have some count packets. We are counting 5 packets, like 1 2 3 4 and 5 packets, right? So again, if you want to verify those things, because in this case we are not specifying the random addresses, So in that case, the system will capture that I'm getting a traffic from 1.13. So in that case, you can verify, right? So better way, if you wanted to get the or capture the packet with the help of hping3, depend on that, like wanted to expose yourself, then you can expose with that mechanism as well. Either you can pass the -f a random source. In that case, if you're trying to capture or trying to check those things, so in that particular system, that information is not visible. So depend like how I want to capture those packets. Clear? So these are different informations, and then you can also flood those packet for something like we can say the random addresses, anything. So we can use like hping3, then target, then -f flood. It means we are just flooding the multiple packets, lot of packet at the same time, like from 1.13. And even though you can pass -f a random source, it means what we can say, the source packet is not going to verify. So you can pass like -f random source, and then the destinations, and then packet it will access, and then transmission control and all those things. The packet size is larger than what you expect. Clear? So again, we have like Nmap, then Nmap and hping3 is inbuilt tool in your Kali and Parrot. Okay, and for this particular okay, so these are an information. With the help of these, what we can do, we can gather, or we can packet, or we can capture the packet of any devices or any system that are behind the firewall. Okay, so these are information all and all. Right now, the next and the last what we have. So if you wanted to verify or scan your entire network, the network details, the net bias, the TCP, UDP, IP scanning, the open port number, and then the ports version, the OS version, and many more information, right? Or you can extract those system information in the single word, we can say. So we have like Metasploit inbuilt tool in the Parrot, or we can say the offensive based machines, right? Before launch the MSF console, make sure the Postgres SQL database service, because again your MSF console are going to work over which database, we can see the PostgreSQL, right? So make sure this service should be active and running. If it's not in the active mode, then whenever trying to run this MSF console command, then we have some kind of error and all those things, right? Now launch MSF console. So what options we have there? Okay, so it's executing the command for all the network that have like 10.10.1.1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and all, right? So it'll take time. Okay, so if you notice now it's done with the scanning, right? So overall what we have there, they are mentioning we have like 7 hosts that are in the upstate. We can say 1.12, 22, 19, 11, and I guess 13 and all. Okay, so what you can do, that you can store everything in the test database. You can simply use db_import. Okay, and then you can use this particular test database that we run that. Okay, so it's exporting 1.2, 9, 11, 14, 19, 13 and all those, right? And that's stored inside which file? Under the root, under the test path, right? It's stored in this particular path and file, right? So we can store in this such sections and path. And then what you can do, that if you wanted to read it manually, then you can run the like root test file. Either what you can do, that you can simply run this command, host command, to check the how many hosts they can capture there. If you want to run that, right, we have these host informations 1.2, 9, 11, 13, 14 and so on. Not a problem. Similarly, you want to check their services and all those things, you can check this particular services with the help of this service command. So over those machines, like over the 22 machines, 19, 2 and all, these services are running. Similarly, you wanted to search only the port scanning and all those things, you can simply use a command like search, right, and then the port scan, right? So we are searching the module that help you to scan those port and all, right? If you notice now, we have many more things like auxiliary scanning for FTP, for those port XMS, acknowledgement, TCP, sync and port scanner, right? So depend on that, like what type of module you wanted to use, that you can use that, right? So type use under auxiliary scanner, port scanner, right, and then the port scan, and then the under the sync, you can use in that way. Either you can use and number 6, it's on the serial number 6, so you can use in that way too, number 6, both are same actually. You have 2 options, right? And what option we have then simple, you can use show options. These are options, you can use that, right? So the port number wanted to scan that, the remote host and all those things. I want to check information about which host, right? So first we have interface name. I want to check the information of interface. It is 0, so you can simply mention set interface ETH 0. I want to verify on this information, and then you can mention I want to search which port. You can mention only the set ports, right? Not entire port. I need to filter capture or only the port 80, so you can mention this port 80 as well, right? And then which machines you want to scan, that you can mention R host for the remote host machines. I want to get the information about 10 dot we have machine like 10.10.1.5 from, just for the example, 1.5 to, you can mention the ranges as well, to 23, right? Like 5, 6, 7 and all those things. So this is your host information, and then the number of threshold you can mention, right? So which are mentions, threshold is like a 50, just mention those things. If you notice now we change everything, it's running at runtime. So these are options, we change that. And then you can type exploit command here. You can use this exploit, or maybe you just type a run to exploit or to run these changes. These are options, you can set that, and then you can type run. Either you can type exploit, it will search those machines information. That's what we learn here. So what we can do, that we can scan those different information with the help of these mechanisms. If you notice now what we are getting, that we are getting this information, right? And there's a lot of another options. You wanted to scan those things, you can also search, like we can say some scan and all, right? It will search those all the scan payloads, module and everything that we are going to use in this particular hacking mechanism. If you notice now we have different like for the secret travels and all those things, for the JBIX authentications, for this open X11, it means for the open SSH, for those XML login scan and all those things, for the WordPress authentication, all those things. So again, there's a lot of method and mechanism. With the help of this method and mechanism, we can follow or we can check those different information, different system services.